Namaskaraha. Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrutyorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. This shloka from the Upanishads is also the essence of Jyotish Shastram, that is, to move from darkness to light, from ignorance to knowledge or awareness. In our Sanatana Dharma, it is the Guru who guides us and helps us reach there. With that, let's inaugurate the Vedic Astrology Masterclass 2025 edition, where we have the experts or the masters, that is, the gurus, who will throw light on the specific topics. A warm welcome to our esteemed gurus and dedicated students. We have one of the trustees of the Raman and Rajeswari Foundation, Sri Supraja Raman, who will say a few words to kickstart the series.
Namaste. On behalf of the Raman and Rajeswari Research Foundation, it is my great honor to welcome you all to the Vedic Astrology Masterclass edition for 2025. It is truly humbling to see so many dedicated students and practitioners of Jyotisha gathered here, and your commitment is quite evident, whether you're joining here in the evening in India, or afternoon in UK, or early morning in Americas. We have created this masterclass series with one goal in mind: to offer a direct and authentic way to engage with the principles of Jyotisha. It's about studying this sacred science as a structured, coherent system of knowledge, focusing on analysis of Navagrahas and their insights. Over the next few weeks, you'll hear from respected masters on a range of foundational topics, be it bhava analysis, be it marriage, be it career, or even technical topics like Pushkara Navamsha or Devalaya Vastu. As Dr. Archana reminded us with the prayer, Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, may this masterclass series dispel all our doubts and ignorance. May this take us from untruth to truth. And most importantly, may this series empower each one of us to study Jyotisha with clarity, so that we can use this knowledge to better our lives and the lives of people around us as well. With that said, I'm delighted to hand over the session back to Dr. Archana and Dr. Akila as well, who will be helping us to help us steer through this year's journey. Namaste, and again, a very warm welcome.
Thank you, Sri Supraja Rama. Today, we gather not only to learn, but to honor a monumental legacy. This series is dedicated to the 113th Jayanti of a man who is rightly regarded as the father of modern astrology, Dr. B.V. Raman. Born in a village near Bangalore, Dr. Raman's life was a testament to relentless dedication. He inherited the tradition of Jyotisha from his grandfather, Professor B. Suryanarayan Rao, and in 1936 revived the astrological magazine. For over 62 years, Dr. Raman edited this publication, an accomplished worthy of the Guinness Book of Records. Through its pages, he presented Jyotisha with clarity, elevating it from a subject of superstition to a discipline deserving of serious academic study. Dr. Raman was a formidable force on the world stage. His accurate analysis of world events from the course of the Second World War to Indian independence brought him global recognition. His work was so impactful that upon his passing, his life was noted by major international publications. The New York Times acknowledged his role in challenging the Western scientific view, while the Independent of the United Kingdom remembered him as a byword for accurate predictions. In a historic address on 9th October 1970, he spoke before the United Nations on the relevance of astrology in modern times, placing the science of Jyotisha firmly on the global map. Beyond his public achievements, he was a man of immense personal discipline, a true rishi in the modern era, whose life was guided by the principles of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. A teetotaler of the strictest order, Dr. Raman's daily routine included Sandhya Vandana, Gayatri Japa, Yogasanas, and Pranayama. He was a man of great simplicity and sincerity, a classic example of the ancient Indian ideal of simple living and high thinking. Today, his mission is not a memory, it is a vibrant living tradition. His work is proudly carried forward by his son, the world-renowned Vastu expert Sri Bangalore Niranjan Babu, and his grandson Sri Raman Suprajarama. The light that Dr. Raman lit now shines brighter in the digital age as the astrological e-magazine, reaching a new generation of seekers across the globe. As we begin the Vedic Astrology Masterclass Series 2025, let us draw inspiration from Dr. Raman's life. Let us remember his courage, his intellectual rigor, and his unwavering mission to uphold the dignity of this sacred knowledge. We are all part of the great wave of Indian astrology that he set in motion. I am Dr. Archana Murthy, your host and guide for today's session. We are delighted to welcome you all from all corners of the globe as we begin an intellectual journey. Whether you're an experienced professional, a devoted student, or simply someone with a keen interest, we believe today's session will offer you valuable insights and perspectives on astrology. Today, we are coming together to explore the topic of spouse, conjugality, and remedies. It is a great honor for me to introduce the distinguished speaker for today's presentation, Srimati Sarbani Rajji. Srimati Sarbani Rajji is a Jaimini scholar and a Jyotisha Pandita, brings over 2 decades of deep scholarship to the Vedic Astrology Masterclass 2025. Her teaching is distinguished by its seamless integration of the Parashara, Varaha Mihira, and Jaimini systems, providing students with a holistic and powerful analytical framework. This approach, which moves beyond fragmented knowledge, is one she has helped formalize as a key advisory member and faculty for the Jyotisha program at Sri Sri University. She regularly lectures at international astrological conferences and consults globally. In this free live session, Srimati Sarbani Rajji will explore the intricate topic of spouse, conjugality, and remedies. The class will offer practical techniques for assessing marital life by synthesizing classical Parashara principles such as the 7th house and its lord with crucial Gemini concepts like the Dharakaraka and the Upapada Lagna. Participants will learn how these integrated methods can be used to accurately diagnose sources of marital discord and identify appropriate classical remedial measures. With great anticipation, let us now welcome Srimati Sarbani Rajji. Ma'am, we are eager to learn from your wisdom. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Archana. I will begin by giving my humble pranams, Sashraddha pranams to Dr. V.V. Raman, the father of modern astrology, without whose first pioneering translations, English translations of Jyotish works, none of us would have been here today. So my pranams to him and my pranams to Sri Niranjan Babuji for this initiative and keeping the torch afloat and the torch burning, and my regards, warm regards to Sri Raman Suprajarama. With that, I would like to begin, but I would like to give a small footnote to what Dr. Archana said. I'm really not going to be speaking on Dharakaraka and Upapada Lagna here. But more exploring more on the concept and experiences of conjugality through the bhavas and tithi lords from the Rashi chart itself. So with that word, I'd like to start my presentation. Okay. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. My pranams to the Sadguru and to all the other gurus who guide us, not only by giving us knowledge, but also giving us direction in our spiritual life. My topic today is spouse, conjugality, and remedies. And I would like to focus on how we determine the nature of the spouse and what is the experience of conjugality. Is there a notion of a happy married life, a happy conjugal life, or is there celibacy in a married life, or is there no marriage at all, or is there brahmacharya and the path opens up to sannyasa or renunciation? What are these experiences as anubhava or as experiences within marriage or even outside marriage? When we were given the invitation for this masterclass series, we were told that there is a theme for the women on the concept of Shakti and a theme given to the men on the concept of Pragya. And the term Pragya, though it was given to men, struck a chord in my mind. And therefore, I would like to begin, and this is also carrying forward with what Dr. Archana said. She started with the Upanishad, and I want to continue with that thread of the Upanishad. Now, 4 Vedas have given us 4 phrases which are known as the Mahavakyas. And these Mahavakyas encapsulate the very essence of our spiritual life, the philosophy which is the underpinning of our spiritual life. And I decided to just speak for 1 minute on this Mahavakya, which is from the Rig Veda, the Aitareya Upanishad of the Rig Veda. This Mahavakya is called Pragyanam Brahma. I repeat, Pragyanam Brahma. And the reason I picked it up was because the theme for the men during this conference was Pragya. So Pragyanam, which is actually the intellect, but not just the intellect, it is this heart, this mind which is in sentience, it is all the knowledge, it is the retentiveness, it is the sense perceptions, the thinking, the genius, the memory, and the activities and desire and passions. And all these things that is pragya is nothing but the different names of the consciousness. This consciousness is Brahman, and this consciousness is also Indra, it is Prajapati. This consciousness is in all the gods, it is in the Panchabhuta, in the big and small creatures, the creatures which are born from eggs or born from the womb or from the moisture of the earth. It is present in horses and cows and elephants and human beings, all creatures that move and all creatures that fly, or perhaps they do not move at all. They all have this consciousness which gives them their reality and who they are. They are impelled by this consciousness, and this consciousness is the eye of the universe, and it is the end of the universe. And this consciousness is Brahman. This one undivided consciousness runs through everything, runs through
Hello,
every
madam.
being. Yes?
The screen is not shared. Can you please share the screen?
Oh, okay. I did share the screen though. Yes, do you have it? Is it fine now? Is the screen visible now?
Able to see your screen. You can please continue.
You are able to see it?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes, I can see.
Okay, thank you. Okay. My apologies. This was my title slide, Spouse, Conjugality and Remedies. And as you see that there is a picture of this lady out here, this lady is actually none other than Parvati, as depicted by the halo behind her head. And Parvati is in the mode of sadhvi. She's a tapaswini out here, sitting on a deer skin, wearing rudrakshas with a kamandalu in Padmasana and doing japa. So though she's the Shakti and she's married to Shiva, but we see her here in the form of a tapaswini. And that is what I was aiming to express through this presentation, that in marriages, are there moments of celibacy, or what is the experience of conjugality? Is that of a union or conjugal bliss, or can it also be that the spouse enters into a period of brahmacharya and a celibacy? So that is the reason why this picture of shared. And after that, I did start discussing the Prajnanam Brahma, the concept of the Mahavakya, which is from the Rig Veda, Aitareya Upanishada. So just to continue where we sort of left off, we said that this undivided consciousness runs through everything. That is, we talked about Indra, Prajapati, the gods, the Panchabhutas, the big and small creatures, human beings, creatures which move and which do not move, that this consciousness, a single, one, undivided consciousness, runs through all these things. It is the same consciousness, and it is from this consciousness which gives us our reality, which gives us our activity, which gives us our memory. Everything is the same. Sri Krishna in the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita says that I am this consciousness. And though this consciousness is undivided in all beings, but it appears to be different, just the way it appears that a man and woman is different. So this Ekam Chaitanyam, this undivided Chaitanya consciousness is Brahma. What is different really are only our minds and the experiences, that's the anubhava of the mind and the vrittis of the mind. Only this is different. As each of us are born, we have different experiences depending on the karma of our souls. So our mind and the anubhavas of the mind are different. The pravrittis of the mind are different. So our pragya appears to be different because of these individual experiences, but the consciousness within me is in all other being. And this consciousness is pragyam. Pragyam is nothing but this consciousness, and this is undivided in all beings. In that way, we are all the same, and only our experiences are different. This is what is meant by Prajnanam Brahma. On this note, I will start my presentation with Stree and Purusha Jataka. The reason I did this, that if we have this concept that it is the same consciousness which runs through all of us, the reality, our memories, our activities are all the same, we are absolutely the same, then we feel that whatever results are ascribed for men in terms of marriage, relationship and longevity of marriage also holds true for a Stree Jataka. So I'm not making a difference here between a Stree Jataka and a Purusha Jataka. Whatever good or bad is seen for the husband in a Stree Jataka, we examine the 7th house, we examine the 7th lord, we examine the Karaka, we examine the 8th house. Exactly the same houses are seen in a Purusha chart. All of you here, esteemed astrologers, I know do the same. There is no distinction over there. Except that there are one or two minor differences. And these minor differences are dependent on the experiences between a Purusha personality and a Stree personality. And one of the fundamental differences lies in the Karaka for a spouse. In a woman's chart, the Karaka for husband is Jupiter, while in a man's chart, the Karaka for wife is a Venus. Although Venus is the overall Karaka, remember Prajnanam Brahma, the consciousness or the reality is same. Although this Karaka, Venus, is the same for both men and women, where our seventh house is concerned and love, relationship, marriage is concerned. Shukra is the primary karaka for that. That is undeniable. But to make a further distinction in that, we can say, if within that spouse, I want to see a spouse specifically, I will look at the Karaka Jupiter in a Stri Jataka and Shukra particularly for a spouse in a Purusha Jataka. Although I will also see Shukra very much as a Karaka for the Saptama Bhava. That does not change. But in addition, I will see Jupiter as a Karaka for Pati. So Guru becomes Pati Karaka. Therefore, in a Stri Jataka, if Jupiter is under severe affliction, it indicates that the husband is suffering or may suffer. And similarly, in a Purusha Jataka, if we see a Shukra is very highly afflicted, we know that the wife may be suffering. Here is a picture of the Ardhanarishwara. As you can see, the Prakriti and Purusha is embodied in one. Shiva and Parvati are embodied in one. The male and female are embodied in one. That is why if you are talking about a notion of femininity, the notion of femininity can exist both in a male body as well as in a female body. Sometimes a female has a higher degree of male component rather than a female component. And to often understand these distinctions, we look at the Parashara Hora chart, and the Parashara Hora chart by which Rishi Parashara has given us this beautiful distinction of a sun hora and moon hora. We know which of these horas has, and we also see the male planets and female planets. And when we plot this diversion, we know whether in a Jataka, the Surya Hora and male grahas are stronger, or the Chandra Hora and the female grahas are stronger. And this is irrespective whether we are looking at a Stri Jataka or Purusha Jataka. But it will give us that understanding that whether which component is stronger in the person. Now, all good and evil results for marriage has to be studied both from Lagna and Chandra Lagna. And here Chandra Lagna has a greater importance. And I will come to it very soon as to why we consider Chandra Lagna to be more important when we are discussing marriage and emotion and relationships. Now the Lagna in the Rashi Chakra denotes our intelligence, right, Adi? Whereas the Lagna in the Navamsha Chakra denotes our beauty, our rupa, our complexion, how we look, certain deeper inner qualities and personality. The defining physical features of a person and his complexion are seen from the Navamsha Lagna, while the intelligence and the way we think and the way we process our intelligence is seen from the Lagna in the Rashi Chakra. Now, so what does Chandra Lagna show us? Chandra Lagna shows the mental strength of the person. More importantly, it denotes the complexity of emotions. Chandra is the primary root of Jala Tattva. Chandra and Shukra are the two Jala Grahas in our horoscope, with Chandra being the primary Graha which is giving the Jala. Therefore, Chandra denotes the complexity of emotions, and emotions are very important for all relationships. Emotions are important in which one human being is connecting to another. These emotions, it shows what are the influences on our mind. This is seen from the Chandra Lagna. It shows the stability of the mind, if my mind is stable or my mind is unstable. And more importantly, it denotes my family, my connection with the family, and my connection with the external world. That is why the Chandra Lagna is very important. And this is true for both Purusha Jataka as well as Stri Jataka. But here comes a little extra thing. Where women are concerned, Chandra Lagna has a very special importance in the horoscopes of women. Now, we all know that the lunar cycle or the movement of the moon, that many days are mapped onto the menstrual cycle of women, especially for women who are between puberty to menopause, especially for those women, the Chandra Lagna become very, very important. If you've got menopause, after that it is not that important. And before puberty, it is not that important, although we will say it is important all throughout. But particularly between puberty to menopause, the Chandra Lagna becomes very crucial for women because of the menstrual cycle. In the days of yore, the Vriddhas studied something called the menstruation chakra. That is from the date when the first menstruation started, you had a menstruation chart, and they would use that as the principal chakra for making predictions for women. Now, when we are talking making predictions for women, what are the things that we are talking about? Now, one of the fundamental things, a woman has a very strong desire and promise to have children, because physically the woman bears the child. This is something which really demarks her from a man. She physically carries the child and gives birth to the child. And therefore the menstrual cycle or the menstruation chakra becomes very, very crucial for her. We also see, for example, the fifth house, we all know, is Putra Bhava. So our general understanding of children, our general connections to children are seen from the fifth house of the chart. But pregnancies, whether a woman is going to be able to conceive, whether she will be able to carry a pregnancy to full term, or will there be a miscarriage in between? Is the body not capable of carrying the full 9 terms of pregnancy? This is seen from the 9th house. This is not seen in a Purusha Jataka, because this is something very exclusive to a Stree Jataka, is this concept of pregnancy and ability to bear the child. Why do we see the 9th house? Because the feminine signs, as Parashara has told us, are the even signs, the upper sabhyas, the sabhya and the upper sabhya, the odd and the even. That's how we differentiate between the male and the female. So the upper sabhya always moves in a reverse direction. Therefore, when we count 5 in an anti-zodiacal direction from the Lagna, we come to the 9th house, and therefore the 9th house becomes the Lagna for pregnancies. Chandra becomes the Karaka for pregnancies. Therefore, Chandra, because it governs the menstrual cycle, becomes very, very important. Therefore, the menstrual chakra and the Chandra Lagna becomes crucial for women, especially in terms of seeing children, whether you're going to have a child, all right, whether you'll be able to carry through the pregnancies or not. Now, the woman, because they are giving birth to the children, they become naturally, this is in a very conventional terms, they become the pivotal figure of the family. They are the mother. They are nurturing the child in their childhood and from their babyhood to up to at least definitely till 4 years or 12 years. That's when a young human being requires the mother. So the mother is the first guru, the mother is the first teacher, the mother is the first one which is teaching the child and rearing the child, starting from breastfeeding the child to teaching him everything. And the child really requires the mother at that stage. If it's a male child beyond a point, then the mother of the child after 4 years old tries to seek the father out there, especially after 12 years of age. A male child particularly will seek the father out. But in the initial years, a mother is very, very important. So the moon again has the capacity to bind through emotions. Through the Jala, it is binding. It is binding the family. Therefore, familial bonds are all seen through Chandra Lagna. We are going to explore a little bit more about Chandra Lagna out here. Now, from the 7th house of the Lagna, as well as from the Chandra Lagna, we see the character of the husband. Is the husband worthy or is the husband unworthy? This is known as Purusha Charitra. Therefore, planets in the 7th house, and when there are no planets in the 7th house, we take the 7th Lord. Now, you will say, but we do this in a Purusha Jataka as well, don't we? In a Purusha Jataka, if there is Jupiter in the 7th house, we will say, oh, you will get a very intelligent or a spiritual wife, and you will have a Bhagyodaya after you get married. We say this for Purusha Jataka as well. So all this that I'm saying for Purusha Charitra in a female Jat or a Stri Jataka will apply to the male chart as well. So what do they say about Purusha Charitra? That if there is a Jupiter is in the 7th house in a female chart, the spouse will be a fantastic person, just, wise, knowledgeable, spiritual, and can possibly be wealthy as well. Now, if we have Shukra in the 7th house, we can say the spouse or the husband can be very good looking, very stylish, well-dressed, fond of clothes, possibly with beautiful eyes. He would like to live well and he would like to entertain people. Now, if you have Chandra in the 7th house, it means that the spouse is emotional, he's sensitive, he enjoys good food, he likes to feed people, he's a very family-oriented person, and the center of his life is the home and the family. And if Surya is in the 7th house, we can say that the spouse is authoritarian, he's a dominating personality with a strong ego, he has excellent leadership qualities. And if Mangal is there in the 7th house, we can say that Mars, the spouse, can be prone to bad temper and anger. But as I said, this applies not just to Purusha Charitra. This is from many of the well-known Jyotish texts tell us that grahas in the 7th house in the female chart will give the Purusha Charitra. But we can say that the same grahas in a male chart will give the Charitra of the wife. So for Venus in the 7th house in a man's chart, the wife will be very beautiful, very stylish, very well-dressed, etc. If there is moon in the 7th house, that woman will be very emotional, maybe a good cook, is fond of feeding people, and very focused on family life. So it goes to both. Okay. Now, when I said these characteristics, I have said that these are not only from Lagna, but these are also from Chandra Lagna. And I think this is where we make a mistake, that we don't usually see that this Chandra Lagna, we only see it from the Lagna. But please next time make sure that you see it from the Chandra Lagna also. And in the case of a Stri Jataka, the 7th house from Chandra Lagna becomes very crucial. Now, if we are seeing grahas in the 7th house from Lagna and Chandra Lagna, as Jyotishis, this reminds us of Adi Yoga. Now, what does Adi Yoga say? That if there are benefics in the 6th, 7th, and 8th houses, it forms something called a Adi Yoga. So if there are benefics in the 6th house, 7th house, and 8th house from the Lagna, it is called a Lagnadhi Yoga. And this can indicate that the husband will have very high character and integrity. And if there are benefics in the 6th, 7th, and 8th from Chandra, we call it Chandradhi Yoga, which indicates that the emotional bonding with the spouse will be very good. That means it can show that the spouse is very loving. And if there are no such benefits, instead there are malefic planets, then we can say that the emotional bonding is not that good and the spouse is not that loving. So what we see out here is, we usually denote other characteristics for Lagnadi Yoga and Chandradi Yoga. But here we are trying to draw your attention that they are also pointing out to the character of the spouse. Especially for women in Chandradi Yoga, the character of the husband. So we must remember this. Now, you have heard of Mangalika Dosha. This is so common in India. So the Mangalika Dosha has to also be seen from the Lagna as well as the Chandra. So from the Lagna, we have the 2nd, 4th, 7th, 8th, and 12th houses. That's the placement of Mars. And where for Chandra, we have the 1st, 4th, 7th, 8th, and 12th houses. There's a difference. From Lagna is the 2nd, and from Chandra, it is the 1st. Now, any planet in the Lagna is considered auspicious. Any planet in Lagna is considered to be praiseworthy. So if that is the logic, we can say when Mars is in Chandra Lagna, Mars is in Lagna, Mars is not really causing a Mangalika dosha. When Mars is in Chandra Lagna, it is causing a Mangalika dosha. That is because Mangal is influencing Chandra out here. But from Lagna, we do not consider Mars in the Lagna to be really damaging when marriage is concerned. Now, you may pop up a chart in front of me and say that, look, this X has Mars in Lagna and person is having a lot of marriage-related issues and is unable to get married. It's because Mars is in Lagna. So you will need to check, are there lot of other yogas which is preventing the marriage? It necessarily not because Mars in Lagna. But Mangal in Chandra Lagna is definitely a Mangalika dosha because it is a malefic influence on Chandra. Remember, we do not want any malefic influences on Chandra. We want the moon to be blemish free. We want the water to flow clear and nirmala and very smoothly without any hurdles. I'm going a little fast because I have a lot of slides and I want to go over all the points. Now, while we are talking about Chandra Lagna, mental compatibility is very, very important. Something which we do in marriage matching. We see whether the Chandra, the moon signs of the men and the women are in Kendra or in Kona. We do not want the moon signs of the bride and the groom to be in Dusthana from each other. That is not very good for mental compatibility. What we really like is that it should be in Kendra, and Kona is also acceptable. But here I will share another special tip on mental compatibility. We say that the 8th house from Chandra shows mental compatibility. So the real test comes when one of the spouses are going through a bad time and things are looking down. So the moon sign lords and the 8 lords of both charts need to be matched. So what did I speak about? For so long, we only examine the moon signs, right? Here we are talking about the moon sign lord and the 8th lord, meaning the first lord and the 8th lord from Chandra Lagna. Please underline it. The first and 8th lords of both charts need to be matched. Of both charts need to be matched for mental compatibility. Let's take a quick look at some of the charts. Now, this is the chart of Queen Victoria. Okay, you can see that she was married in the age of 21 and she was widowed in the age of 40. Now, here from the moon, now I've chosen a few charts where moon is in Lagna for an easier understanding. So we can say that from the moon, Venus and Jupiter are the first and 8th lords. Now let's examine these two planets. Jupiter is debilitated and it is giving a Neecha Bhanga Raja Yoga. Now she ascended the throne on 20th June in 1837, right? And her husband died on 14th December 1861 in Jupiter Dasha Venus Antar Dasha, right? Now, why did the husband die in Jupiter Dasha Venus Antar Dasha? Queen Victoria outlived her husband by 40 years, okay? And she got married in 1840 and her proposal for marriage came in Rahu Jupiter in 1839. Now, why did this thing happen? So this Jupiter, as we can see, although they are in trines to each other, but this Jupiter is debilitated in the Rashi chart. And soon after she ascended the throne, soon in the sense she ascended the throne in 1837 and her spouse passed away in 1861. And she lived after that. She outlived her spouse for about 40 years and she was a widow for most of the time. Queen Victoria was known to be a very puritanical person. There is an idiom, there's an aphorism which says a Victorian, that X was very Victorian. Very Victorian means somebody who's very prudish, very Spartan, very celibacy oriented, not really interested in the rasas, They would wear certain blouses and dresses came into vogue in colonial India. You would see a lot of women in Calcutta and many other parts of India wearing blouses which were very high-necked and full sleeve. I myself have photographs of my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, and my maternal aunts all wearing saris, but with these dresses which were worn with Western clothes with high neck. You'll see a lot of women in the Tagore family also wearing that high necked and laced up. The word that was used was Victorian. And this came from Victoria's marriage. So Queen Victoria was, even with her husband, as the saying goes, very, very prudish in her behavior. You can, of course, make out many other things. You can see that the moon, though it is exalted and gave her a fantastic Raja Yoga, the moon is here with the sun in a Amavasya Yoga. You can see even in the Navamsha it is in an Amavasya Yoga. That means the Jala quantity is very, very less. If we examine further, we see the seventh Lord Mangal is with Rahu and Shani, and we do not like that. And therefore, this moon is entrained to what kind of a Jupiter, but a Jupiter which is nature. So though these are combinations, if you examine the Raja Yogas, it's giving her fantastic Nichabanga Raja Yogas, and she reigned for so many zillions of years, and she was the Empress of India. We are not going into the fact of that is good or bad, but from her point of view, she was the Empress of India, and she was Empress of all the colonies, and perhaps one of the longest reigning monarchs of UK. So what fantastic Raja Yoga. But what is happening to her personal life? Those very grahas are devoid of any kind of jala out here, and those grahas are really, really not giving her a lot of mental compatibility with her spouse. Okay, read about her life and you will understand what I'm talking about. Here we have Tsarina Alexandra of Russia. Again, we have Chandra in Lagna, same Taurus Lagna with Chandra in Lagna. You can see that there is 1, 2, 3, about 6 grahas in Lagna, which is quite fantastic. The Lagna Lord again is Venus. Moon is the co-lord of Taurus. We always use Moon to be co-lord of Taurus. I just want to go back to the previous chart. Here, if you take Jupiter and Venus are in Kendra to each other, but Jupiter and Moon are trines to each other. But this Shukra has gone to the 12th house, and this Moon is in a Amavasya dosha, and Guru is Nicha. But here in Tsarina Alexandra's case, we can see that 8th Lord is Jupiter, and Venus and Moon are the first lords from Chandra Lagna. But already in the 8th house, we have a Graha. We have a Shani in the 8th house. And the 8th Lord Jupiter is exalted. So now Jupiter will indicate excellent mental compatibility, right? The 8th Lord is exalted. The dispositor of the 8th Lord Chandra is also exalted. Okay. Whereas in the previous chart, in the case of Queen Victoria, the 8th Lord was debilitated, right? Here it is exalted. So it's giving excellent mental compatibility. Now the Shani, which is in the 8th from Chandra and from Lagna, what happened this Shani, which is also the 9th Lord. Remember, I spoke about the 9th house being a house of pregnancies in a woman's chart. So after childbirth, what happens after childbirth? The 9th Lord is Saturn is getting activated. So what is happening? The Shani, which is in the 8th house, is getting activated, and the relationship becomes sour. So till the childbirth, Shani is not activated. Till the childbirth, Jupiter is showing results. 8th Lord, Ucha Jupiter is showing results. Everything is hunky-dory. But after childbirth, the 9th Lord, Saturn is getting activated. And because it is in the 8th house, mental incompatibility starts. And there are many, many reasons for this. But the primary reason was the ill health of the child. Now we can see that the dispositor of the 9th Lord, that is Shani, dispositor of the 9th Lord is in a Marana Karak Sthana. You can see dispositor of 9th Lord Jupiter is in Marana Karak Sthana. So the child was very, very unwell. And this ill health of the child has actually caused this problem. after this, when the mental incompatibility happened, she went on to have an affair with Rasputin. All of you heard about Rasputin, and the rest is history. Here is the chart of our former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Here you can see Chandra is in the 7th house. Now here Moon is in the Chandra Lagna, and the first lord from Moon is Saturn, and the 8th lord from Moon is Surya. And again here we can see that there is a negative planet, Mars. And the 8th lord from Moon, Surya, is with Mercury. And Mars is, as you can see, it is here in the 8th lord. Now, so when she embarked on a professional career, why are we looking at the professional career? Because in this case, Mars is the 10th lord. In the previous case of Tsarina Alexandra, we saw that the here the planet which is in the 8th from Chandra is the 9th lord. So the pregnancy was the activator. In the case of Indira Gandhi, the planet which is in the 8th from Chandra happens to be the 10th lord. Therefore, when she embarks on a professional career, her marriage then gets finished. Till then, the marriage was okay, and she, bore children, etc. She bore 2 sons. But after the 10th lord got activated with the starting of her career, her marriage is finished. And we can see that her husband, Firoz Gandhi, died in September 1960 in Rahu Mars Dvisaptati Samadasha. Why do we use Dvisaptati Samadasha? Because we can see that the Lagna Lord is in the 7th house and the 7th Lord is in Lagna. Now, very briefly, we are going to look at the marriage houses. Now, at a very rudimentary level, we are going to see the 7th house as of marriage. We have other houses of marriage. We say that the marriage nirbandha happens in the 3rd house, is the house of hand-holding, the Maithuna Bhava. It is the Mithuna is the Naisargika Rashi for the 3rd house of the Kalpurusha. And in this sign of Mithuna, hand-holding takes place, and nirbandha, which is engagement, takes place. The success of the nirbandha is in the marriage, which is in the 10th house from the 3rd, which is the 12th house. And in that 12th house, the priest sits, which he takes 10 couples to the altar and gets them married. But the primary house we take as the 7th house for marriage. And the 8th house is the maraka of the 7th house. Therefore, the 8th house indicates the breakage of marriage, as it is the 2nd house from the 7th. Similarly, when we see the 2nd house, that is the 2nd marriage, then the 3rd house becomes the Maraka Druid and shows the end of marriage. Now, if the 8th house is connected to the 12th house, then the first marriage could last till the end of the life of the native. Similarly, if the 3rd house is connected to the 12th house, then the 2nd marriage could last till the end of the life. But this has to be confirmed from the Navamsha. Although we do see these broad principles of counting the number of marriages from Rashi, the real confirmation comes when you do this counting in the Navamsha. Similarly, when I'm talking about that there is a connection between the 8th house and 12th, or the 3rd house and 12th, or the 10th house and 12th, then in all these cases, really the confirmation is Navamsha, because the Navamsha is to do with the marriage. Navamsha also gives us a much more detailed analysis as to why the marriage may have ended. Was the person unwell? Were there fights? Was there celibacy? What was the relationship with the in-laws? All these intricate details are seen from the Navamsha, because after all, the Navamsha is the microscopic lens through which we are examining the 7th, which we are examining the marriage. But in the Rashi chart, we cannot really confirm it, but we can definitely do count the number of marriages, right? Here, look at Charles Bronson. Just to give you an idea, Charles Bronson was married 3 times. Here you have Harriet Tendler, his first wife, and then this is Jill Ireland, his second wife, and Kim Weeks is his third wife. So this is the Rashi chart. You can see that the first marriage is Harriet, which is in the 7th house. The Maraka Bhava is therefore here in Karka, and he was the this first marriage had happened in a divorce, and it lasted from 1949 to 67. So now this is the Maraka. So from the Maraka Bhava, we take the second Bhava. Or you can even interpret it as the 8th from the first marriage. So the second house in the Rashi chart can become the second marriage. And this is where it indicates his second spouse, that is Jill Island. And this marriage resulted till her death from 1968 to 1990. When he was running Saturn Dasha, Mars Antardasha, Jill Island died. Now, if this Makara Rashi or the second house is the second marriage, then the Maraka to that Bhava is Kumbha, right? And so we want an association between Kumbha and Vrishtika. Now we can see that Saturn, Rahu, both the lords as well as Mangal are here Yuti together in the 10th house. Therefore, when Saturn Mangal Dasha, she died. Now, Kim Weeks is the third marriage. The third marriage will be 8th from here, which is in Leo. And this marriage lasted till Charles Bronson himself died. All right. And this occurs in Jupiter Rahu Dasha is when he dies. Now, Rahu is the second lord because it is the co-lord of Varga. It is a second lord from Leo. And it is Jupiter which is also involved over here. In Jupiter Rahu Dasha, this happens. Now, this happens that I have done this analysis in the Rashi chart, but really the detail has to be done in Navamsha, for which, for celebrities, often we are unsure, but in your personal life, I'm sure that you conduct rectifications and you will be able to count your marriages. The first marriage being here, second being here, third being here, and the fourth being here. And you can also see the Maraka Bhavas to it, which are the 8th house, the 3rd house, right, the 10th house and the 5th house. And in this case, the surety of death is even higher because we do say that the native physically dies from the 12th house of the Navamsha. He doesn't really die from the 12th house from Rashi, because the 12th house from Rashi can show, yes, it can show you leaving this world, but it can show so many other things. Whereas the 12th house from Navamsha only shows that physical death. Therefore, if there is a connection between, say, these bhavas, say, 3rd bhava and the 12th bhava, or the 8th bhava and the 12th bhava, they're lords, then definitely we can say either through the marriage of the spouse or the marriage of the native, the marriage has lasted that long till either of them have passed away. So we can definitely say that. Now, we do have a village method by which we count the number of marriages. And in this village method, what we do, we check the Rashi where the 7th lord is placed in our Divan chart. Then we check the Rashi where the Divan 7th lord is placed in the Navamsha. And then we count from A to B, and that can give us a total number of marriages. Now, when we are talking of marriages, we are including committed serious relationship which have lasted at least for the duration of 1 year. This is so because now, not only in the Puranic times, but in the modern times also, you do have multiple relationships and people often live together for a long time without having gone through the process of a formal marriage. Therefore, you have to be sort of clever and clear as to what you're counting as a marriage. Sometimes, even amongst 2 or more major marriages or relationships, one may consider only one as a major. So reflect carefully and decide which are the ones you want to consider as marriages. Excuse me. This is a chart of King Henry VIII. So King Henry VIII had 6 marriages. So first spouse was Catherine of Aragon. He divorced her. Then was Anne Boleyn. He beheaded her. And then Jane Seymour, who died. And then the next wife was Anne of Cleves, whom he divorced. Then Catherine Howard, whom he beheaded. And then Catherine Parr, who died. So there's a little sort of a scheme out here. We said divorced, beheaded, dead, and divorced, beheaded, dead. Okay, this is his 6 marriages. Now you can see that he has 2 seventh lords, Saturn and Rahu, where Rahu is in Scorpio and Saturn is in Makara. Okay, so now if we take Saturn in Navamsha, let's try with both the lords, then this is in Mithuna. So I have to come from Saturn in Makara to Saturn in Mithuna, right? Saturn is the 7th lord. In Rashi, it is in Makara. And the same 7th lord is in Mithuna in Navamsha. So I have to come from point A to point B, from Makara to Mithuna. And if I come from Makara to Mithuna, I'm getting 6. So this confirms that he has 6 marriages. This is a village method that we apply, which I am sharing from you, from our parampara. Down the line, I will share with you how the Tithi Lord plays a big role. And here we can see that Rahu, who's also a co-lord of the 7th house, is also the Tithi Lord. And the Tithi Lord is the carrier of water. And the Tithi Lord is like Venus. And the Tithi Lord is like the 7th Lord. So if the Tithi Lord itself is the 7th Lord, it's like a double Venus. That's the reason why people who have this kind of combination can have multiple relationships or marriages, provided other things are also okay. Therefore, in this case also, we see that combination is there, and then we applied the village method, and we could see that he had 6 marriages. Now, take a look at Zaza Gabor. Now, Zaza Gabor was a very well-known Hollywood film actor of, the earlier times. And she had 9 marriages, actual marriages. So I've actually given the marriage year and the divorce year. I made an effort to put all this up for you. But of course, I will just quickly go over the names. Burhan Belger, Conrad Hilton Sr., George Sanders, Herbert Huttner, Joshua Cosden Jr., Jack Ryan, Michael O'Hara, Philippe D'Alva, and Frederick Prince von Anhalt. These are all her 9 marriages. In her case also, the Tithi Lord is the 7th Lord. Tithi Lord is Saturn, which is also same as the previous chart. This is Leo Lagna. Okay. So now we can see that if you want to see Rahu as the co-lord over here, Rahu is in Dhanu in Rashi, and it has gone to Vrishchika. Where do we have it? Rahu is in Vrishchika. So this was actually, you can say this count comes to 12. All right. It was said that she had 9 marriages and 1 declared affair. So there were 10 relationships. Now, if you want to take Saturn itself, Saturn is in Karka, and it is therefore in Karka. So it is in the same thing. So that's the reason why we took Rahu. So we do have 1 declared affair. So that gives us 10. So maybe there were 2 more that we don't know of. This is a chart of Jennifer O'Neill. Jennifer O'Neill also has Tithi Lord Chandra as the 7th Lord. So you can see the other co-lord Shukra is in Pisces, and it is in Dhanu Navamsha. Okay, she was married 9 times. She was married 9 times. So this is something, but she was married to 8 men. She was married to 8 men 9 times. This is a chart of Mickey Rooney. These people all belong to Bollywood. Now, Mickey Rooney also had 8 marriages. Here I've got the names of all the spouses for you. I'm not going through them. Even in his case, the Tithi Lord Mangal is in the 12th house. That means his Mangal is actually going to get him married off. Now, who is the actual 7th Lord? It is Mercury. It is placed in Virgo. So, Ucha, it is Yuti Shukra. So you can see that he is definitely going to have a lot of marriages, and it is placed in Tula Amsha. The marriage count is 10, and he has had 8 marriages. Marriage count will give you the maximum number of marriages, okay? So I apologize if I'm going a little bit fast, but now I come to really a very important part of my talk. And I would like Dr. Archana to tell me how many more minutes do I have. I will try to speed it up accordingly. So here we're going to talk about the Vivaha Anubhava. Now, I told you that the 7th house and the 8th house is very, very important, because the 8th house is the maraka to the 7th house. So the anubhava of marriage is very important over here, both from the lagna and the chandra lagna. Meaning, will the couple live together in a wedded bliss? Will they have love between them and a normal conjugal life till the end of their lives? Or will this marriage be cut short by the death of the spouse? Right? Will there be widowhood on either side? Even if there is a continued long marriage and there is no widowhood, what will be the quotient of happiness and sorrow in the marriage? Was it a very unhappy marriage? Is it that they are married and yet they don't have any conjugal relationship? The relationship is one that of celibacy. Is that the case? Is it because there are many conflicts and fights in the relationship? And if there are many conflicts and fights in the relationship, then as a result of which there is no conjugal union, there is a lot of conflicts, and therefore there is no physical intimacy, yet the marriage is there. Is such is the case? Now, we call this 8th house Mangalya Sthana. Mangalya Sthana for the reason that in the Naisargika Kala Purusha, the 8th house is ruled by Mangal and Ketu. It is Vrishchika, and it is the most important marriage, especially in a woman's chart. You will note that this Mangal has to be kept auspicious. Therefore, in our Vedic tradition, we wear red saris, brides wear red saris, they wear a lot of reds. We say don't wear whites. Why? Because you want to keep that Mangal auspicious at all times. You wear red bangles, you wear red in the parting, you wear red bindis. It is all to do with keeping Mangal auspicious. We call it the Mangalya. Sumangali. Sumangali is a word which is used for women who are blessed with a long and happy marriage. Sumangali. So Mangalya Sthana is the 8th house. What is it going to happen? Are you going to have an auspicious marriage? Or will your husband not touch you? Or if he touches you, you know he's died and hence you've experienced early widowhood. What is the nature of the conjugality? What is the experience of the conjugality? This is going to be seen from the 8th house of Lagna and Chandra Lagna. So the 8th house will also decide whether you will renounce, whether you will become a sannyasi, or whether your path is that of householder. This becomes very important. So Dr. Archana, you did mention Jaimini sutras in terms of this. The thing that I want to point out, this is where when Jaimini is talking about the 8th house, especially, this is what he likes to point out, that it is very important in the case of a sannyasi or a case of a brahmacharya, because that same house is very auspicious for brahmacharya, depending on how it is. Or is that house promoting and supporting samsara? Is it samsara or sannyasa? Is it celibacy or is it conjugal bliss? What is your bhagya? This is given by the 8th house of a horoscope, and 8th house of a horoscope from the Rashi chart predominantly. Therefore, will you have a successful marriage or not? Therefore, we say this is the controlling house for matrimony, for singlehood, for renunciation. Now, in this context, I would also like to talk about the Tithi Lord. Now, I mentioned this to you, that the Tithis are ruled by the 8 planets from Sun and Rahu. They are the water carriers, right? Their duty is to water the 7th house and to instigate the rasas. So without water, there is no emotion, and without emotion, there is no marriage. From these rasas, bonds are created and a family is born. Therefore, one can say a Tithi Lord is like Venus itself. A Tithi Lord is like the 7th Lord. Therefore, we like very good association between the 7th Lord and Venus, or 7th Lord being in the 7th house, or 7th Lord associated with the Tithi Lord. You saw in all these cases of multiple marriages that I showed you that the 7th Lord and the Tithi Lord were the same. And these people ended up being married 7 times, 8 times, 9 times, which is unthinkable. They actually had proper marriages that they did. So therefore, the association of Tithi lords with the 7th house, 7th lord of Venus enhances the Jala Tattva, and it becomes like a double Venus. Now, Ketu is not any of the Tithi lord. So therefore, if Ketu is in a relationship, it does not know where to go, as it is rising upward and it is directionless. Ketu therefore is married to the Lagna, and the Lagna is Shunya, which makes Ketu a widow. Ketu is paired with God, and a nun is married to the Christ. Therefore, if the 7th lord is with Ketu, that marriage is with Shunya. If the Tithi lord is with Ketu, that marriage is again with Shunya. Because Ketu's direction is upward, the water of the water boy evaporates, and the Ketu takes things upwards to a moksha marga. Death can occur, but the desire, even if there is a desire for marriage, death will occur. Therefore, Ketu, if it is with 7th lord, or Ketu, if it is with Tithi lord, the marriage is with Shunya. Either there is no marriage at all, or even if there is marriage, the marriage is with Shunya. Now, we are going to, in this case, examine the charts of a few sadhus or saints. This is the chart of Swami Vivekananda. We see that the Tithi Lord is Shani, and it is not with either 7th Lord, or it is neither with Ketu. So, and therefore it can give desire for marriage. Okay, but it is with the 8th Lord. So when the Tithi Lord is with the 8th Lord, there we have this issue of not marriage coming in out here. Now, it is also forming something called a Vairagya Yoga. It is a Brahmana Yoga, plus it's a Vairagya Yoga, which is placed in the Kendra Bhavas. And this Vairagya Yoga causes detachment. Now, Vairagya is a very quintessential component when somebody wants to renounce and become a sadhu. Without Vairagya or detachment not only through to objects, but detachment through emotion, detachment to a familial bond. So this is the opposite of everything that we talked about. Okay, we do not want the familial bond here. We want a detachment out here. We do not want rasa instigation out here. So we see that Shani Chandra Yoga of Vairagya is very, very prominent out here. We also see that the Tithi Lord is Yuti, the 8th Lord, which means that here Chandra is almost like Ketu. The 8th Lord becomes like the Naisargika Ketu. Therefore, it is as if Tithi Lord is united with Ketu out here. So, therefore, what happened? His guru told him not to marry. Okay. And this is, so what happens is, plus we see also that this Shani is in Parivartana with Mercury. And this gives a kind of a Kliva Yoga. There are many other factors which are there in the chart, but this is a very, very powerful chart of which it shows that there will be no marriage. And you can also see from Arura Lagna, Mercury and Venus is in the 6th house. So whenever the Rajas Grahas, Mercury and Venus are 6 from the Arura Lagna, it talks about a rejection of Rajas Grahas, which is very, very important for somebody who is doing sannyasa. I have given this quote of Swamiji over here, and it says that he saw the Divine Mother in every woman. Why do I make all these sacrifices? To emancipate myself from earthly ties and attachments, so there will be no rebirth for me. When I die, I want to become at once absorbed in the divine, one with God. I want to be a Buddha. And a monk is not forbidden to marry, but if he takes a wife, she becomes a monk with the same powers and privileges and occupies the same position as a social husband. So you can see that what his desire was. His desire is to be absorbed in the divine, and so that he does not have rebirth. And in order not to have rebirth, he has to renounce all earthly ties, which includes brahmacharya. So therefore, this Tithi Lord being with the 8th Lord, and which is translated into this very powerful Vairagya Yoga in the 10th house, already created this desire of renouncing marriage. Okay? See this chart of Srila Prabhupada. In the case of Srila Prabhupada, it is very, very powerful. The Tithi Lord is Surya and it is in an Agni Rashi with Ketu. So there is a Tithi, the Tithi Lord is with Ketu. So when the Tithi Lord is with Ketu and it is in an Agni Rashi, the fire is rising upwards very, very strong. Now there is one marriage over here, because if you see the 7th Lord, it is exalted in the 10th with Karaka Shukra. So he was married. He was married and he did have 5 children, but he was not attracted to his wife. So Srila Prabhupada thought there was something wrong with him, and that maybe because he was not attracted to his wife. So he went and told his father, maybe I should get married a second time because I am not attracted to my wife at all. So, but then his father forbade him to do that. Srila Prabhupada at that time did not realize why he was not attracted to the wife. He was not attracted because Tithi Lord is with Ketu. Now, the only activation for the marriage was 5th Lord Jupiter. So for the sake of begetting children, he got married, but he did not wish to have any conjugal relation with the wife. Eventually, he became a sannyasi because his guru came in his dream, and the guru said, you will have to become a sannyasi and you have this very big task of spreading the Mahamantra throughout the world. So he had to go all over the world and establish 108 temples and spreading the Mahamantra, and the rest is a legend. But he became a Tridandi sannyasi in Mercury Dasha, Venus Antardasha. You will see, though Mercury is 7th Lord Ucha with Karaka Shani, again it is placed in the 6th house from Arura Lagna, just like Swami Vivekananda. So eventually he sacrifices that. Though for the sake of marriage, he gets, sake of children, he gets married, but he sacrifices that. And here he is with, and this Tithi Lord with Ketu also creates the problem. You can go deeper. You can see that the 8th Lord Chandra is Yuti Mangal in the 6th house of Brahmacharya. And the 6th Lord Shukra has also forming this yoga. So he actually, though he got married and begetted children, but actually eventually the Brahmacharya, the celibacy triggered off. And he became a celibate in the marriage, and he thought because he was not getting attracted to his wife, but because such powerful celibacy yogas are over there, eventually he renounced these Rajas Guna planets, and his Ishta becomes Radha Krishna. Ucha Buddha is none other than Krishna, and Shukra associated with Buddha is none other than Sri Radha with Krishna. So that becomes his Aradhya Devatas. So again, I'm not going into the details, but I've given his quote, his viewpoints on wife and marriage and things like this. This is a chart of Chandrasekhar Saraswati Mahaswamigal, the great sadhu, one of the former Shankaracharyas. Now, if you see the marriage houses, there is a very powerful Mangala in the 7th house. You see the 7th Lord Rahu has gone to the 8th house, which is not a good combination for marriage. You can see the other 7th Lord Shani is in a Shraddha Yoga with Ketu, a Shani Ketu Yoga in the 8th house. You can see that the Shukra is in the 8th house. A Shukra in the 2-8 axis is considered a Sadhu Shukra. You will see that Swami Vivekananda also had Shukra in the 2nd house. Sorry, I think he had a Ucha Shukra. Ucha Shukra also means that you are, let me just go back very quickly to Swamiji's chart. You can see, yeah, Swamiji also had a 2nd house Shukra, which is a Sadhu Shukra. Here he has Shukra in the 10th because he actually did get married. Here Chandrasekharam Swamigal, right from the age of 9, he becomes a sadhu. So again, a 8th house Shukra, which is a sadhu Shukra. So you can see all these combinations are there. Tithi Lord is Surya, conjoined 8th Lord Jupiter. All right, conjoined 8th Lord Jupiter. You can see another 7th Lord Shani, conjoined Ketu. And we can also see that there is a parivartana between Venus and Jupiter here. So this conjunction between Tithi Lord and 8th Lord, the 7th Lord and 8th Lord is very, very powerful out here. Extremely strong and extremely powerful. The sadhu yogas, the renunciation yogas are too much. You can see Shani is also the 6th Lord over here, and Mangal is a natural karaka for renunciations. So effectively, you can see this is also a 7th and 8th house yuti. Here, therefore, this is the anubhava of the marriage right from the age of 9. When is the sannyasa kicking in? From the age of 9, he has left his home. Blessed with a supreme knowledge. Nobody knew the Vedas like him. There is a Singhasana yoga over here, 10th, second Lord Mercury in 10th house. He was the Shankaracharya. He was the Pithadipati. So therefore, the Pithadipati yogas, that is a Raja yoga, which is also out here. But see the whole experiences of no desire for marriage, no desire for sexuality from multiple angles, from 7th Lord, 8th Lord, from Tithi Lord, from all angles, and full involvement of Mangal and 6th Lord Shani, who is the Brahmacharya. So all the factors of Brahmacharya are feeding in over here in Chandrasekhar Saraswati's chart. Very, very powerful. In Srila Prabhupada's chart, sannyas came much later in life, after 50 years of age. In Swami Vivekananda's chart, yes, he did not marry, but when he was a college-going children, that is the time he was speaking out spirituality with different gurus till he met his own guru, Sri Ramakrishna, and then his life, of course, changed. Okay? And finally, this is the chart of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa. In the chart of Sri Ramakrishna Paramhamsa, you can again see the same thing. The 7th Lord Surya and 8th Lord Mercury are in the Lagna. We can also see that there is moon over there, and the moon happens to be the Tithi Lord. So when Tithi Lord is with 7th Lord, he did get married. But the Tithi Lord is also with the 8th Lord, which is with Shunya, because it is like Ketu. Therefore, that marriage was Shunya. There was no marriage. He did get married technically, but there was no marriage. You can see Ketu is extremely powerful in the chart. It is in Swashetra, in Digbal, and the 10th house. You can also see that this Chandra is the 6th Lord of Brahmacharya. Again, Shukra in the 2nd house in Sadhu Yoga. Okay, Shukra in 2nd or 8th axes are forming is a combination which we call Sadhu Shukra. It can occur in many of your charts, but it may indicate that there was some delay in getting married. All right, some alliances which would not have worked out. So I know I'm saying this a little bit fast, but I wanted to go through the chart that though there is marriage, but that marriage is Shunna. That was the Anubhuti. So we have the 7th Lord here, we have the 8th Lord, we have the Tithi Lord. And because these are charts of great saints, we can see that the 6th Lord, which is the Lord of Brahmacharya, plays a very, very big role. Many of their cases, you will also see Mangal has gone to the 12th house. So Mangal is the Neshtra Graha. All right, Neshtra means they can give marriage. What marriage are they giving? They are giving a celibate kind of marriages. Okay. I'd still like to ask Dr. Archana, how am I doing with time? I will skip this. I already mentioned to you about Vivaha Nirbandha and the Vivaha thing. Yes. Now, how do you time? You can time the actual marriage from the Antardasha of the planets associated with 3rd house, 8th house, and 12th house. Dasha used is Janma Vimshotri counted from moon. And I would like to end with this. What are the remedies? We have seen that this 8th house or the 8th Lord is a controlling factor which is making or breaking a marriage, which is making us a sannyasi or giving us celibacy in marriage. Because of celibacy in marriage, we may be having problems in marriage, or is not giving you marriage at all. So if the 8th Lord is with Shani or Rahu, we will opt for Mahavidya Sadhana. In my chart, I have this. I have 8th Lord Shukra, Yuti Rahu in the Panchama Bhava. Panchama Bhava is also the house of mantras. So I did Kamalatmika Sadhana before I got married. Kamalatmika is a Mahavidya associated with Venus. So therefore, 8th Lord with Saturn or Rahu, Mahavidya sadhana is recommended. 8th Lord, if it is with Mars, Ketu or Surya, that is the Agni Grahas, we would say worship Durga. If the 8th Lord is associated with either Jupiter or Moon, then the remedy is to worship Gauri. And if the 8th Lord is associated with Venus or Mercury, then the remedy is to worship Lakshmi. As you say, as I told you, I have 8th Lord Venus with Rahu. So both this point as well as, so here 8th Lord with Venus, my 8th Lord is Venus, I get Lakshmi. But when the 8th Lord Venus is with Rahu, I get Mahavidya. So I did a Mahavidya form of Venus, which is Kamalatmika. Okay. If there are malefics in the 8th house or malefics due to the 8th Lord, that combination is not very good. Therefore, Mahavidya sadhana is recommended over there. In this case, we do not consider Surya to be a malefic. Here, Jaimini has told us, Natra Ravi Papa. Ravi is not Papa in matters of marriage. Neither is Ravi Papa in matters of spirituality. In all other matters, Ravi is Papa. All right. So therefore, we will not consider Ravi to be a malefic planet out here. So 8th Lord with Ravi, or 8th Lord with Mangal, or 8th Lord with Ketu, then Durga needs to be worshipped. So with that, I end my presentation. Om Gurave Namah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Archana.
Ma'am, that was an enlightening presentation on conjugality. Especially, I really found the Dvivaha Anubhava and Mangilya Sthana related dictums very interesting. I'm sure many of our audience, while listening, were connecting this knowledge to their own charts or those of their clients. That's the beauty of these master classes, right? Each of us finds something personal or practical to take away. Let's now quickly invite for a question and answer session. So I would like to invite the audience to go ahead and post their questions. Mr. Girish, could you add a few questions?
Yeah, I can see questions in the Karaka, under the Karaka comment section. There are a huge amount of questions. So shall I just pick a few? Yeah, this is
Ma'am,
Poonam,
there is one on the screen now. Yes, go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, yeah, that's the first question. Yes. In that the interplay case of presence of nodes Rahu in Lagna and Ketu and the same nodes Rahu in 8th house and Ketu second house from Chandra Lagna. Yes, very briefly. So what I'm going to do is I will answer the questions briefly because otherwise it will take time. Ketu in 7th house is problematic. Rahu in 7th house is not problematic. If we do say that the grahas are giving us the charitra of the spouse, you can say Rahu in 7th house, somebody can think only of negative qualities. It can give either negative or positive. Negative can be that the person is a very Rahuvian kind of a character, very dubious, deceitful, or two-timing. But it can also be that the person is a foreigner or belonging to a different community or a religion or a caste. That can also be Rahu, and can be somebody who's maybe works in the secret services or a career diplomat. So many factors, maybe a minor. So it depends on which way you look at it. But I would consider Ketu there a bit problematic because Ketu by nature, as you saw, does not like to promote marriage. It does promote marriage only when he feels the kula is going to end. So Ketu kulasya unnatim. So the kula is going to end. Ketu will want to, give marriage so that children are born. But otherwise, Ketu will cause disturbances. Firstly, the character of the spouse will not be rooted, will not be emotionally rooted, nor conjugally rooted. notion of a family would be very absent, would like to buzz off elsewhere, maybe go off somewhere on a spiritual retreat for a bhajan, maybe will forget to tell the spouse, maybe the spouse has cooked food and kept spouse, he's forgotten to inform. That's a very Ketu kind of a thing. Ketu is the sadhu. They don't like to be in the house. They like to roam around and meditate and wear any old clothes, and not like Shukra, who's so well dressed. So those are the qualities, and therefore Ketu can cause disturbances in order to get married. Ketu in 12th house, Ketu in 7th house can cause disturbances. We advise worshipping Ganesha.
Next question, please. Yeah.
Yeah. Any planet in Lagna is auspicious, but Saturn in Lagna is in Marana Karak, as it is the case. Yeah. Yes. Saturn is Marana Karak for any person who has Saturn in Lagna. Therefore, we must worship, we must make the Lagna, purify the Lagna, and remove the dirt which Shani brings. Shani brings dirt wherever it sits. So we have to purify it. We have to do Lagna Shuddhi. And we have to do Lagna Shuddhi by worshipping Shani as Narayan. You can do the worship of Surya Narayan or worship the mantras of Narayan Kavach. And Narayan mantras, Narayan Kavacha mantras are very good for purification of Lagna Shuddhi. When you do that, then Shani over there becomes Surya Narayan for you or Narayan for you. So, but Shani in Karka is considered to be a Raja Yoga. And definitely Mrs. Indira Gandhi experienced Raja Yoga. Shani in Karka is there for many people. So you have to make him praiseworthy, worship him like that, and remove the blemish. Yes. Yes, definitely. Therefore, Shani is a problem over there. It is the 7th Lord and the 8th Lord. So definitely I would, what you do is, you consider Shani to be the 7th Lord and you take Rahu to be the 8th Lord. The co-lord of 8th house to be Rahu, because Aquarius is ruled by both Saturn and Rahu. For Pisces Lagna and Libra Lagna, 8th house for women will be Venus. So Venus with conjunction is a problem. Yes. If Venus is with Ketu, Ketu has the power to, this is Jaimini teaches us this, that Ketu has the power to destroy the Rajas Grahas. Why? Because Ketu is Karaka for sadhuhood and sannyasa. Two of the most important impediments to becoming a sadhu is the Rajas Grahas, the money and profession given by Mercury and karma given by Shukra. So karma and artha, these four has to go. I have to give up marriage and I have to give up working. I don't have an Aruda. I'm not presenting lectures in master classes. I do not get married. I do not have a boyfriend. I'm leading a solo life. So those two Rajas Grahas can only be destroyed by Ketu. Ketu holds the power of that. Therefore, yeah. Who was the person? The question, what was that? Yeah. Just show the question again. Yeah. So if Venus is with Ketu, in any chart, any lordship, Venus with Ketu is problematic. Venus with Ketu is not at all a good, Venus with Rahu gives a different thing, because Rahu is the embodiment of desire. So Venus is with Rahu, a person can be either subject to the spouse or the boyfriend, maybe indulging in extramarital affairs. That's a problem with Venus with Rahu. Your spouse or spouse may have already another marriage or another girlfriend, or be interested in other women. That is a constant problem. Sometimes the native himself or herself may get involved in, or even if the native is not, a lot of people who are married will constantly be pursuing you. Natives with Venus and Rahu can get pursued by men who are already married, or their own husbands or spouses, whatever, whether it's a man or a woman is the same thing, will either be interested or have extramarital affairs. That proclivity is there. Venus with Ketu is just the opposite. Therefore, Venus, 8th Lord Shukra, if it is with Rahu, you have to do Mahavidya Sadhana. Is a must. So that those, even if somebody is not having, those problems will be there in their life. Such threats will loom above you. You do the sadhana and be free of it. That is Rahu's desire, no? Whereas Ketu, Ketu will do opposite. Will smash Venus out from your life. No Shukra at all. Yes. And Ketu and Venus also indicates Rakta dosha. So such a person health-wise must examine what the Rakta dosha is. If there are any problems in your blood, make sure you do blood tests. There should not be any inherent problems in the bloodstream. If Jupiter is exalted in the 7th house and Moon, yes. No, forget all the other things. Jupiter, if 7th Lord is in the 8th, it means that the first relationship or the first marriage goes for a 6th. So now if a young woman or man comes to you and you see they have this combination, we immediately advise the parent to conduct a Kumbha Vivaha or a Arka Vivaha. What does a Kumbha or Arka Vivaha mean? It's a mock marriage. Okay, there is a combination of a marriage breaking. So let's have a mock marriage, either with a tree or a pot, and let that. So, you spend the night with the pot or the tree and next day give visarjan. That means you've got married and your marriage is broken. So, chalo, that combination is gone, and that it's a very common remedy that we advise to many clients. So, 7th Lord in 8th, 8th Lord in 7th, 7th Lord, 8th Lord, Yuti, marriage breaking combinations are there.
Yeah, are we taking any more questions? Yeah, go ahead.
If 8th Lord is debilitated and sitting with Mars and Yoga Karaka, no, 8th Lord can be debilitated. That has nothing to do. We are looking at its association with 7th house. Or if you want to see mental compatibility, then 8th Lord from Chandra plays a role. But it is from Lagna, the 8th from Lagna is 8th Lord's association with the 7th house is what we are interested in. Or 8th Lord's association with Ketu is what we are interested in. Other combinations will give other results, not related to marriage.
Are there any more questions, or would that be the last, Mr. Girish? Let me see, ma'am. Yeah, I guess we have come with due to time shortage. I'm sure there are many more questions. Yeah, but due to the shortage of time, we will be probably closing the Q&A session now. But those were very good questions. And with that, I would like to offer a heartfelt thanks to each and every one of your active participation and, of course, insightful questions. Your participation is important, and keep doing that. On behalf of everyone, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to you, ma'am, and also to the audience for imparting your invaluable knowledge and deep expertise. And of course, we look forward to welcoming yet another session tomorrow. This is for our audience. We would love to be, we would love you to be part of it for another deep dive into astrology with Sri Ashutosh Chawla ji, where we will explore advanced bhava in analysis. So we look forward to another enlightening experience there and hope you'll join us again. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep pushing the boundaries of your knowledge. Dhanyawadaha.